An emotional night at the Saddle Dome as the Flames honor Johnny and Matthew Gaudreau. Hey everyone, welcome into Hot Topics. This episode brought to you by ProStars Plumbing and Heating, Calgary's first choice when it comes to plumbing and heating. Rob Wong, joined alongside by Postmedia Calgary Flames writers Wes Gilbertson and Danny Austin. And guys, what a night last night as the Flames shut out the Blue Jackets. But of course, it was hard to focus on the game itself with all of the ceremonies for Johnny and Matthew Gaudreau. Danny, a difficult night to say the least. What will you remember about the evening?
I mean, I hope I remember all of it, to be honest. Like, I think that it was absolutely beautifully done. It was very moving. And I think it meant a lot, hopefully, first and foremost, to the family. I think that from the start, the Flames did a very impressive job. And I don't even know how they did it because they didn't come out and say it. But, like, this was about the family. And they were front and center. And, you know, my sense was that they weren't going to do anything that the family wasn't comfortable with or didn't want to do. And I just thought, I don't know, I thought that the Flames organization did it with grace. They did not overdo it. There was never a moment where you felt like the family was being exploited or put in a difficult situation. And then I think that we saw what it meant to people like Sean Monahan, Rasmus Anderson, Michael Backlund. So, you know, I suppose in media we have a temptation to sometimes be negative, but I don't have a single negative thing to say. I thought it was absolutely beautiful. And yes, with all of that said, it was also difficult. Of course, it was difficult, even for someone like me who only covered Johnny for a couple of years. You know, there are memories that come storming back, but just, you know, for me, it was an A+ on every level, and that's not the point. But I do think it needs to be said.
Yeah, I totally agree. I thought that it kind of hit the right notes, right from start to finish. And, you know, I was having a conversation this morning, and, you know, the way I put it is, you know, it started off, obviously, the pregame ceremony is very somber. You know, you've got a bunch of players and family members sobbing on the ice, and totally understandable. But I thought what was really heartwarming last night, and what I'll probably remember most, is it felt like as the night went on, it became a celebration as well. I mean, to see Rasmus Anderson score the goal and point up to the family in the suite they were watching from, to hear the Johnny hockey chants, and then, you know, the coolest moment of all, to have Johnny Gaudreau announced as the first star, and have Rasmus Anderson and Michael Backlund lead his father, Guy Gaudreau, out to the ice. And, you know, they're kind of like whooping up the fans, make sure you cheer for this family. And it's like, you know, what a special moment. You know, this healing process, we know, whether it's for the family or for the players who covered him, the players who played alongside him, even for the fan base, you know, we know the healing process is ongoing. But it felt last night like, at the same time as mourning and honoring, there was a celebration of Johnny Gaudreau and the family and what they've meant to the city of Calgary. And I thought that was really, really special.
Yeah, very well put. You know, a lot of the tributes conjuring up a lot of memories about Johnny Gaudreau, of course, Wes, and you got to see a lot of them in person. I'm sure you've been reflecting on it quite a bit over the last few months, but when you look back and think about Johnny's time in Calgary, what will you remember the most?
Yeah, I mean, there's a million sort of on ice moments, probably capped off by the Game 7 overtime winner in 2022 against the Dallas Stars, and then the hug, you know, with Sean Monahan as he left the ice. But what I've gone back to time and time again, and what I think kind of underscores the importance of a night like last night, is, you know, what family meant to Johnny. Like, I haven't had as many conversations with a hockey player about their family, what their sisters are doing, what their brother's doing, how their parents are doing. He wanted, you know, I wrote something over the weekend, he wanted Calgary to know his family. Like, Guy and Jane Gaudreau were rock stars in this city. You'd see them on the concourse at the Saddle Dome, and everybody knew who they were. And so, you know, as we think about the family and mourn the loss of both Johnny and Matthew, that's sort of what I've gone back to, is just not so much the holy bleep, how did he do that goal, or the crazy assist, but just, you know, kind of those conversations. Like, I heard him described by Sean Monahan the other day as a humble superstar. And I think that's a really accurate way to sum up Johnny Gaudreau, and a lot of that is sort of what I've been thinking about.
And like, I agree with everything Wes said, but he said it better than I will. So I will also say though that, like, boy, was he fun to watch, and boy did he bring an electricity. Like, let's not forget that coming out of the Iginla era, like, I don't know if they were using the word rebuild at the time, but we all understood that. And there is, as much as you understand when a team and an organization has to go through a rebuild as a fan, there is this fear that you are going to get stuck for 7-8 years. You're not going to draft the right players. It's never going to come together. You're not going to be able to catch up with the teams ahead of you. I think there are probably a few fan bases around the NHL who are experiencing that right now. And Johnny sort of comes in along with Sean Monahan, of course, and then eventually Matthew Tkachuk. But, Johnny was in a lot of ways the catalyst for, like, okay, this era might actually be really fun. And, no, they never made a cup final or anything like that. But, that first playoff run where they beat Vancouver, a very good Vancouver team, that was my first time experiencing. I'm from Toronto. I had never experienced Calgary in the playoffs, and it hits different. It takes over the whole city, and there's excitement everywhere. Young people are running around on the streets. It's wild, and that was because of Johnny. And I think that those feelings really did carry through right until 2017, or I apologize, 2022, when he scored that goal. And I've still never been in a rink quite like that after that goal, and then the hug with Monahan. So, I mean, of course the focus should be on what a human he was and what a person he was, and the family and everything. But since Wes already said it, I do got to say, like, I think people are going to be watching Johnny Gaudreau highlights in Calgary for a really long time, because he was unlike anything I've ever seen, a guy his size doing what he did on the ice.
Yeah, absolutely. An unforgettable player in his time in Calgary. So when we look at the team, guys, a big win to start off the month of December. Last month, they played 15 games, coming away with 7 wins. Danny, when it comes to the Flames on-ice product, what were your biggest takeaways from that stretch of games?
I mean, we asked Ryan Huska about it last night, post-game. It was one of the sort of few hockey-related questions that did get asked. And what he sort of said was like, look, we played 15 times. So this was a hard month. We came out of it above 500, we're in a playoff spot. And I think that there has to be, the lens that I am covering the team with, to pull back the curtain a little bit, is still that this remains a remarkably positive season. But I do think what we saw in November is, as teams are tightening up, as the speed of the game is picking up, this team does have real trouble scoring goals. And the only way that the Calgary Flames are going to win hockey games this year is frankly if they are incredibly tight defensively. And I think we now know, like, I know this, I feel very confident saying it. If they allow 5 goals in a game, they're not going to win. So we know what the template is, and now it's about sticking to it and playing good, tight defensively, hard hitting, checking, relentless on the puck. That's an exhausting way to play. It'll be interesting to see if they can keep it up 82 games. But, through the month of November, I think we know that with some certainty.
It's really amazing. Like 7-5-3 in the month of November puts you above 500. Obviously, when you go look, the Calgary Flames scored 2.27 goals per game in November. That's tied for 30th in the NHL. Like, there was one team that had more trouble lighting the lamp in November than the Flames did. And so when you, I guess, put it into that context, 7-5-3 sounds pretty damn impressive, right? Like, okay, you couldn't find the back of the net with Google Maps, and yet you managed to win more than half of your games. But to Danny's point, the offense and figuring out a way to generate more of it is going to be sort of the biggest focus moving forward. Kind of a storyline that we haven't talked a lot, and rightly so, because of all the emotion of last night, is the fact that Andrei Kuzmenko, who should be one of this team's best offensive players, was healthy scratched against the Blue Jackets. He has 1 goal so far this season. There's guys who aren't carrying their weight offensively, and that's going to become a focal point if this team is going to kind of hang around in that playoff conversation.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what the month of December brings, but a good start following that 3-0 win over Columbus. As always, leave your thoughts in the comments section below. For Danny Austin and Wes Gilbertson, I'm Rob Wong. Thanks for watching, and we'll talk to you next time.